यदोहो च धर्मशीलस्य यदोश्च धर्मशीलस्य नितरां मुनिसत्तमा नितरां मुनिसत्तमा तत्र अंशेन अवतीर्णस्य तत्र अंशेनावतीर्यस्य विष्णोः वीर्याणि शंसा नः विष्णोर्वीर्याणि शंसनः यदोश्च धर्मशीलस्य नितरां मुनिसत्तमा तत्रांशेनावतीर्णस्य विष्णोर्वीर्याणि शंसनः यदोश्च धर्मशीलस्य नितरां मुनिसत्तमा तत्रांशेनावतीर्णस्य विष्णोर्वीर्याणि शंसनः Yadoho of Yadu or the Yadu dynasty. Cha also. Dharmashilasya, who were strictly attached to religious principles. Nitaram, highly qualified. Munisattama, O best of all Munis, king of the Munis. Shukadeva Goswami. Tatra, in that dynasty. Amshena, with his plenary expansion Baladeva. Avatirnasya, who appeared as an incarnation. Vishnu, O Lord Vishnu. Viryani, the glorious activities. Shamsa, kindly describe. Naha, onto us. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Bhajan Arvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. O best of Munis, you have also described the descendants of Yadu, who were very pious and strictly adherent to religious principles. Now, if you will, kindly describe the wonderful, glorious activities of Lord Vishnu or Krishna, who appeared in that Yadu dynasty with Baladeva, his plenary expansion. Then can you repeat the translation? O best of Munis, you have also described the descendants of Yadu, who were very pious and strictly adherent to religious principles. Now, if you will, kindly describe the wonderful, glorious activities of Lord Vishnu or Krishna, who appeared in that Yadu dynasty with Baladeva, his plenary expansion. Purport. The Brahma Samhita 5.1 explains that Krishna is the origin of the Vishnu Tattva. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme controller. He has an eternal, blissful, spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, for he is the prime cause of all causes. Yasyeka nishvasita kalamatavalambya jivanti loma vilaja jagadandanatha Vishnur mahansa yasya kala vishesho govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. The Brahmas, the heads of the innumerable universes, live only for the duration of one breath of Mahavishnu. I worship Govinda, the original Lord, of whom Mahavishnu is but a portion of a plenary portion. Brahma Samhita 5.48. Govinda, Krishna, is the original personality of Godhead. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Even Lord Mahavishnu, who by his breathing creates many millions upon millions of universes, is Lord Krishna's Kala Vishesha, or plenary portion of a plenary portion. Mahavishnu is a plenary expansion of Sankarshana, who is a plenary expansion of Narayana. Narayana is a plenary expansion of the Chaturvyuha, and the Chaturvyuha are plenary expansions of Baladeva, the first manifestation of Krishna. Therefore, when Krishna appeared with Baladeva, all the Vishnu Tattvas appeared with him. Maharaja Parikshit requested Shukadeva Goswami to describe Krishna and his glorious activities. Another meaning may be derived from these words as follows. Although Shukadeva Goswami was the greatest Muni, he could describe Krishna only partially, amshena. For no one can describe Krishna fully. It is said that Anantadeva has thousands of heads, but although he tries to describe Krishna with thousands of tongues, his descriptions are still incomplete. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta Purport and translation to Canto 10, Chapter 1, Text number 2 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here we can see Parikshit Maharaj requesting Shukadeva Goswami to continue describing the wonderful, glorious activities of Lord Krishna or Vishnu. Vishnur Viryani Shamsanaha. Vishnur Viryani, the glorious and wonderful and adventurous activities and leelas of Lord Vishnu, Samshanaha, kindly describe them unto us. Is the request of Parikshit Maharaj to whom? Muni Sattama, the greatest of all Munis. Used the word Uttama, similarly there is Sattama, one who is endowed with all divine qualities, who is absolutely free from any material qualities. Sattama. So he's requesting Shukadeva Goswami, the Prabhupada translates this word Sattama as king of the Munis. So Parikshit Maharaj is glorifying Shukadeva Goswami as the king of munis. And this Krishna he is describing Yadoscha Dharmashilasya Nitaram Tatra Amshena Avatirnasya. Please describe about Krishna's glorious activities along with Lord Balaram, who is the direct expansion of Lord Krishna. The first expansion of Lord Krishna. And they appeared in the Yadu dynasty. And who are these Yadus? Parikshit Maharaj is saying, once again, glorifying another set of devotees from the Yadu Vamsha. Yadoscha Dharmashilasya. They were very strict adherents of the religious principles. Dharmashilasya. And Nitaram. They were very highly advanced in religious principles. Very, very pious. So, he's saying, that, oh, king of Munis, you have described about the descendants of Yadu who were very pious and strict adherents of the religious principles. Now, please describe about the wonderful and glorious activities of Lord Krishna or Vishnu, who appeared in that Yadu dynasty along with Baladeva, his plenary expansion. Today being the appearance day of Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja is the divine appearance of Srila Prabhupada in this material world. So we can infer from this verse how important is the position of a devotee, and glorious is the position of a devotee, wonderful is the position of a devotee that even Krishna glorifies and even pure devotees glorify about pure devotees. Because such is their wonderful transcendental qualities. That even Krishna is enchanted. Actually, the personality of Krishna is always enchanting. Krishna always keeps his devotees enchanted. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami describes about 64 qualities of Lord Krishna. In that, finally he concludes by highlighting about 4 important qualities of Lord Krishna, which is very unique only to Krishna. These are stand-alone qualities of Lord Krishna. And one of them is Krishna is always surrounded with loving devotees. So one of the qualities which Rupa Goswami highlights. Of course, there are other qualities also which he describes. Krishna plays the beautiful flute, and Krishna is supremely attractive, even to all his incarnations and expansions, and certainly all his devotees, and certainly to all the tapasvis, munis, transcendentalists. He is even to the materialists. He is attractive to all, one and all. So he is always surrounded by his loving devotees, and he performs pastimes with his loving devotees. Jai Krishna Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada, as we all know, always describe about Krishna that Krishna is never alone and Krishna is never worshipped alone. Because Krishna is never alone. Krishna is always with his devotees, with Radharani, Gopis, Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda, It's always with somebody. Or if no devotee is there, Radharani, Gopis, Gopas, he'll be with peacocks or with a cow or at least with a calf. So Krishna is always with somebody, his devotee, meaning always with his devotee. He's never alone because he's very fond of his devotees. Krishna is very fond of his devotees. So he cannot live in separation from his devotees. As much as the devotee cannot live in separation of the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Lord also cannot live in separation of the devotee. This is the inner meaning of why Krishna descends to this world. Most of the time we describe, as Krishna also talks in the Bhagavad Gita, Sambhavami yuge yuge. Every yuga Krishna descends to this world. Of course, the external reasons are mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. And what are they? Three important reasons Krishna describes, which is to protect the devotees, to annihilate the demons, and to not establish, to re-establish. That means Dharma is part of this creation when it is created. But in the course of time, somehow it deteriorates. So the Lord personally comes to re-establish the Dharma. But within these purposes, there is a very, very special purpose for which Krishna comes to this world, which is actually to call all of us back to him. Because we are all Krishna's dear children, very dear to Krishna. So Krishna cannot live without any of us. So Krishna therefore wants to reclaim all of us back to his home in the spiritual world. So that is the actual purpose of Krishna's descent in this world. So Krishna loves every one of us. Sometimes we think, oh, Krishna loves Radharani. She is an important devotee. Krishna loves the gopis. They are very important devotees. But we are ordinary people. Sometimes we may think we are sinful people. They are materialistic people. But Krishna has the same love he has for his devotees in the spiritual world. But the only difference is we are not sharing that love, receiving that love, or we are not reciprocating that love. That's all. From Krishna's side, he is always loving us, but we are not loving Krishna. So Krishna is coming down to perform his wonderful leelas to show how lovable he is, how caring he is, how affectionate he is, how wonderful he is, and also to remind us how we are intimately connected with Krishna. To give us this message, Krishna comes to this world. And yesterday we had that festival, grand celebrations in our temple. So with this message, Krishna is coming time and again. Time and again. Just like children who have gone to play or who have gone out of home, the parents will be calling. Or if it is nearby, they will personally go. So come back, get in the car, let's go back, let's go back. So the children may say, no, little more time, little more time. So they will wait. Again they will call. So okay, let's go back. They will continue waiting. Again the children may want to continue playing. Again the parents will wait. So like that, the Lord is eagerly waiting to receive all of us back home, back to God, to take us back home, back to God. So why are these devotees special now? Because they're doing a very important task for which the Lord Krishna has descended in this world, to reclaim the fallen conditioned souls. This is a very, very grave, serious, important task for Krishna as far as Krishna is concerned, to reclaim the lost children in this world. We're all the lost children in this world, actually. I remember reading an article way back, at least about 18 years back. It came in a newspaper. The front page, there's a picture of father and mother, and one grown-up man actually. So embracing each other with lot of feelings and emotion. That's the picture which is captured. And the headline is the son rejoins his parents after 25 years. So somehow he was lost, rejoining them. Imagine how much love, affection, and that feelings of separation and the joy of uniting once again. How much joy is there in reuniting with parents after a long gap of 25 years. In his childhood only he got lost. Then somebody may ask, how did he reunite? Because actually there was one person who was a common, um, who was his family acquaintance. He happened to see this boy in another city, town, and then he informed him, and then he took him to his native place where his parents were there. It was a coincidence. It was a divine arrangement, actually. Now, what would you say? This person who has related this lost son to his parents has played such a key role in both their lives, the lost son's life and even the parents' life. Both of them are obligated to this man who reunited them. They will never forget this person for life. Is it not? Now let's read refer a story from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is explained by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself personally. It's a very special story of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, but it is relevant to all. Very special story in Chaitanya Charitamrita. For us to understand what role Prabhupada is playing in our life, this story is a highlighter. Very crucial to understand this story. I know if some of you have read, but still it is worth reading. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu narrated a story. It was a parable. He said, once there was a learned astrologer. His name was Sarvagna. So he came to the house of a poor man. And that poor man was in a very distressed condition. So he questioned him, my dear so and so, why are you unhappy? Why are you in a distressed condition? He said, I am poor, wretched, not in a very good material condition. So what can I do? My fate is like that. He was a little unhappy and morose. The astrologer said, oh, no. You should not be unhappy. Your father has left a great wealth for you. But he did not disclose that wealth to you because he died in another elsewhere. He died elsewhere. So he could not communicate to you. That very words of this astrologer gave news of the poor man's treasure and his connection with the treasure. So, similarly, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, the Vedic literatures advise us about our real connection with the supreme treasure of our life, which is Lord Krishna. And we are, sometimes we use the word Dinartha. We are poor-hearted souls. We are also in a very distressed, similar condition, like this poor man whom Lord Chaitanya described in the form of a parable. We are also in a very distressed condition, being separated from Krishna, our original father, and Srimati Radharani, our original mother. We are very distressed. We are trying in so many ways to be happy, but we are very distressed. So although this poor man was assured of his father's treasure, still it is not complete. Why? Because the knowledge of he having the treasure is not enough. He should be able to possess that treasure. Reach out to that treasure. Then only his distress will be alleviated, will be removed. Otherwise, not simply information has no use. So he should actually get the treasure in his hand. So the astrologer then describes, um, he tells him where the treasure is. He says, don't, he says, your father has kept the treasure in the earth, in your house, and he takes him to his house. And then he says, don't dig on the south side. Why? Because there are drones and wasps. Then he says, don't dig on the um, west side, because there is a snake. Then don't dig on the northern side, because there's a ghost. Then he says, if you dig little earth on the southern side, on the eastern side, you will be reaching your treasure. So what do these things mean? Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains it. Each of these sites represent, I'll not go to the details now because I want to talk a little more on Prabhupada. So each of these sites represent, one of them represents fruitive activity, one of them represents mystic yoga, one of them represents dry empiric philosophical speculation, speculative knowledge. And all of these things are simply a botheration. Fruitive activities are like drones and wasps. Drones and wasps, no, it bites the person. So if you go near it, it will bite you. So if you go near the treasure, it will not allow you to take, it will bite you. Then snake represents, you go near the snake, what happened? You are finished. Death, instant death. So mystic yoga is like that. Impersonal, merging into impersonal. Then dry speculative knowledge, like ghosts, they not allow you to be peaceful. Simply go on speculating, and go on agitating your mind and always remain unsettled, inconclusive. Like a ghost is always disturbing you and you cannot have peaceful sleep, peaceful night, like that. But the eastern side represents devotional service. So if you dig little, in other words, even little devotional service will awaken sincere bhakti to Guru and Krishna, will awaken one's bhakti. Okay, so now, so so this astrologer brought about the connection of the treasure which his father left to this poor man, and his worries ended immediately. Similarly, actually, Srila Prabhupada is playing that role of that astrologer in every one of our life, bringing us that connection between us and the treasure of Krishna, the treasure of devotional service. The treasure of devotional service which will make us reach Krishna. So he is playing such a key role. Krishna is coming again and again to reclaim us to this world time and again. But if Krishna does not come, that job, bringing back his children, Srila Prabhupada is doing. So such a key role, most important role Prabhupada is playing. The spiritual master is playing in every one of our life. And even in the life of Krishna is playing a key role, because he is taking us to Krishna and he is bringing us Krishna back. So both way, Krishna is also eternally obligated to the Acharya, and we are also eternally obligated to the Acharya. So we are so fortunate to have that kind of spiritual master in our life, because of which we have got our connection back with Krishna. There is one nice reference in Chaitanya Charitamrita again, wherein Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was about to describe the glories of Haridas Thakur It's a very long chapter. The chapter itself is called The Glories of Haridas Thakur. But the book is Chaitanya Charitamrita, The Glories of Lord Chaitanya. The scripture is Glories of Lord Chaitanya, but the entire text, if you read, the glories of the devotees. So, in that, before he attempts to describe about Haridas Thakur, Krishnat Karas Goswami writes, Bhaktera guna kahite prabhura bhadaye ullasa bhaktagana shreshta tate Sri Haridasa. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu derives great pleasure from glorifying his devotees. Bhaktera guna kahite, describing his devotees' gunas, prabhura bhadaya ullasa. He experiences great joy. Bhaktagana shreshta tate Sri Haridasa. Especially in describing the glories of Haridas Thakur, who is the foremost of all devotees. Haridasera gunagana asankhya apara keha kona amshe varne nahi paya para. So he's saying that the Haridasa gunagana, the transcendental qualities of Haridas Thakur, asankhya and apara, they are completely transcendental, the highest quality, and asankhya, one cannot count his glories. Keha kona amshe varne nahi paya para. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, mind it. Let me describe amsha, little of Haridas Thakur's glories. Because even I don't know. And how much can I describe? Let me at least attempt to describe little. Why? He's saying, Sabakaha na yaya Haridasera charitra keha kichu kahe karite apana pavitra. I'm even attempting to describe little of those glories so that I can purify myself. So one can purify himself simply by glorifying the pure devotees of the Lord. The Lord Chaitanya's verdict, you can just imagine. So how glorious, just like we are hearing Krishna Leela, particularly in the 10th canto, simply filled with Krishna, simply purifying, punati. It is simply purifying. Similarly, the glorious Leelas, activities, appearance of the Acharya is simply purifying. We simply keep hearing about Prabhupada, you'll go back to Godhead. We surprised. All through the Gita, Krishna says, you remember me, you'll go back to Godhead. Remember me at the time of death, you'll go back to Godhead. So in one lecture, Srila Prabhupada was giving one lecture in one foreign country. If I am right, it must be France, if I am right. Nonetheless, the spirit of this pastime is important. So Prabhupada was lecturing in English. So he didn't. So the audience could not understand English. So Prabhupada had a translator who was a devotee who knew that language, most probably French, if I'm right. So Prabhupada would describe and he would translate in French to a huge audience. Then Prabhupada was mostly talking about how we are entangled in this material world and how one should prepare oneself to go back to Godhead. And Krishna promises in Bhagavad Gita, if you remember me at the time of death, I will take you back to Godhead. Repeatedly Krishna has promised and made this statement in the Bhagavad Gita. Repeatedly, many times Krishna has made this statement. Just to assure us. Just the parents say, no, yes, I promise my child, like that. Krishna is repeatedly making this statement. You will come back to me, you will come back to me. Just remember me, become my devotee. Repeatedly Krishna has said. Many other ways also Krishna has indicated in the Bhagavad Gita, showing his eagerness to take us back home. He's only expecting we remember him. Keep him in our mind. So Krishna said at the point of death, if you remember me, you will come back to me. Then Prabhupada ended the lecture, asked for questions in the audience. So the devotee translated again, is there any questions in French? Then one old woman got up. Maybe some of you might have heard this past, I'm not sure. And she said something. This devotee was dumbfounded. His voice got choked actually. So that lady finished her question. So maybe Prabhupada thought he's thinking of translating from the other language into English. Prabhupada paused. Minute passed, this devotee is not translated still. So Prabhupada said, what is that woman asking? So no, he's not able to actually speak out. So then Prabhupada said, no, please translate. What is it she is asking? Then he said, Prabhupada, she is asking, you said in the lecture, if you remember Krishna at the time of death, you will go back to Krishna. Krishna will take you back to him. Now this lady is asking, she is saying actually, Prabhupada, I don't know Krishna. I have not seen Krishna. I have only seen you and I only know Prabhupada. So her question is, if I remember Prabhupada at the time of death, will I go back to Godhead? Is what she is asking. So Prabhupada paused a few moments. Then he replied, tell this lady, yes, she'll go back to Godhead if she remembers me. And then he translated that in French. And all the devotees were thrilled. So she was extremely glad. So if you remember Prabhupada at the point of death, you are sure to go back to Godhead. So this is the potency of remembering Prabhupada. There's one more passage. I'm taking little more minutes because anyway there is fasting. But there is a feasting in the form of Prabhupada Leela, Prabhupada Kathamrita, which we never get to hear, otherwise we're busy with our activities in our service to Prabhupada and Krishna. So, one more very interesting and very encouraging Leela. Devotees in ISKCON know about New Vrindavan, West Virginia temple. So it's a very, very nice temple, and Prabhupada loved that temple very much. So the devotees have taken a lot of trouble to come up with the temple. And Vishaka Devi, Mataji and Yadubara, they are very well known in ISKCON, the Prabhupada's disciples. They are very expert in shooting and photography. Yadubara Prabhu is very expert in photography, and Vishaka Mataji would video record a lot of things, and that's how today we see, you see Prabhupada's videos, it's actually their mercy that we're able to see physically the pure devotee's form. Literally with our own eyes, the transcendental form of the pure devotee of Goloka we are able to see. How fortunate we are, huh? So, they had made one video about this new Vrindavan temple way back 1970s called Spiritual Frontier. Time permits, probably you can all watch. So Prabhupada was watching this movie along with many devotees in a temple. And as Prabhupada was watching, sitting on his Vyasasana, he was very glad seeing that movie, and he was so happy that he said, at the end of the movie, Prabhupada glorified the devotees, and then he said, actually, Kirtananda Maharaj, one of Prabhupada's disciples, had played a key role in making up of the temple. So Prabhupada went on to say like this, I bless Kirtananda Swami to go back to Godhead in this life. All the devotees cheered, Hari Bol, like that. Then, after making that statement, Prabhupada said, why Kirtananda alone? What Kirtananda? And then he lifted his cane up. You know, we have a cane for Prabhupada. It's a walking stick. He lifted his walking stick And then with all the devotees sitting in the assembly, and the devotees packed up in the balcony also. So Prabhupada moved his head from left to right and indicating his cane all the sides, including up in the balcony. He saw every devotee's face. He glanced momentarily, everybody's face. This one devotee is describing this. He was waiting that whether Prabhupada will look at me also. And finally he saw, okay, last Prabhupada saw me also. And then completing, serving all the devotees' face, seated there, Prabhupada said, all the devotees will go back to Godhead. So all the devotees cheered, Hari Bol. So, by the grace of Prabhupada, it is not this devotee or that devotee, every single devotee will go back to Godhead. So Prabhupada said, I bless all of you to go back to Godhead. That's why Prabhupada has come to this world. Exactly the same purpose for which Krishna has come to this world. So you can just imagine, another understanding of this is, the most confidential purpose for which Krishna comes is to take us back home. Very confidential activity of Krishna. That is being handed over to Prabhupada. You can just imagine how much Krishna has faith and trust in Prabhupada or the spiritual master. Just take a very big businessman or a prime minister. You just think, suppose the prime minister of a country, a very crucial, strategic, most confidential task, if he is entrusting to somebody, who will be that person? Who will be the person? It could be mostly defense minister or the home minister. Somebody of that level. You can just imagine that most important task is given to the pure devotee of the Lord. So, you can just appreciate the position of Prabhupada. This was another instance. This is in London. There's one more devotee's recollection. When many devotees came to London, there's a very nice temple in London established by Prabhupada. So the deities there are called Radha Londoneshwara. Prabhupada said Krishna is the Ishvara of all the planets. So obviously London, so it's called London Ishvara. So Prabhupada named the deity as not Krishna Vasudeva, not London Ishvara. So Radha Londoneshwara he named this. In Paris he named the Lord as Radha Paris Ishvara. So many devotees came with Prabhupada in the flight, journeyed with him, and then they landed in the London airport, and many devotees, Shyamasundar, Mukunda, Janaki, Guru Dasa, the very stalwart devotees. So there are a lot of service in building that London, bringing up that London center. And how we also know that the Beatles group also was brought in through their good preaching. Prabhupada was very, very happy. This is a short description of London Yatra, Hare Krishna Yatra in London. So Prabhupada got on the flight, and then he had a big load of books of the previous acharyas on Srimad Bhagavatam, particularly on Srimad Bhagavatam and many other important Vedic literatures. And Prabhupada would carry that actually wherever he goes for his translation work. Prabhupada referred the Purva Acharya's commentaries, and then he would, reading all of them, he would give his Bhakti Vedanta purports. So it was very crucial for Prabhupada, his books. So it was a trunk load, big trunk, loaded with all Acharya's commentaries, actually. So then, so in the baggage area, when they went to reclaim the bag, the suitcases, unfortunately, this suitcase was missing. That was a great shock. Anything can miss, but Prabhupada would not tolerate missing the Acharya's commentaries. It was it was to his heart, such valuable treasures. So then one devotee said, Prabhupada, we will proceed, we will check out. There was one devotee by the name Indradyumna Swami, he was very young that time. He said he will take care, we will leave him to claim that, let him deal with officials and then wait and then get back the baggage, so let's move. So Shyamasundar said like that. So then Prabhupada said, okay, fine. And then there was a big reception in the airport and back in the temple. Huge reception, big kirtan, roaring kirtan like that. So Shyamasundar was, Indradyumna Maharaj was recollecting that. He was very unhappy that he was missing all the fun like that. So anyway, so then they all reached temple and somehow after few hours, they finally spot Prabhupada's trunk. So he was greatly relieved. But he didn't know what was there in the trunk. He thought, such a bad luck for me. Just for this trunk, I lost all that fun and the bliss of the kirtan. Anyway, and there was nobody left with him to help him, assist him to take that luggage back to the temple because they all left with Prabhupada, drove back to the temple. So somehow he struggled and managed to bring all that luggage, his luggage, Prabhupada's luggage, the trunk of what the trunk is, he does not know. Somehow he landed in the temple. There also nobody is willing to assist him to take it to Prabhupada's room, which was in the second floor. Somehow he again, because when he reached the temple, so devotees, they just finished a big feast after the kirtan. Big feast was there on Prabhupada's arrival. So they were all stomach full. So he asked from Prabhu, can you help me to lift this trunk? So, no, I am stomach full, I really can't help you out. So, no way, he said. So somehow we struggled. Then he said, okay, is there some prasadam left? Oh, you should have come some few hours back. We finished off all the prasadam. So prasadam is also not there. Nobody even bothered to help him to assist, stay back in the airport, nor even lift the luggage to Prabhupada's room. It was Prabhupada's luggage. Somehow we struggled to lift the luggage and take it to Prabhupada's room. So then, when he entered Prabhupada's room in the second floor, somehow he dumped the luggage actually. Because he was so exhausted and fried out actually. No prasadam, lost the kirtan, lost the association, he was so upset, he just threw the trunk like that. And he just saw Prabhupada right there. And he just bowed down to Prabhupada. When he was bowed down, and then he started beginning chanting Prabhupada's Pranam Mantra, Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashnaya. He just bowed down to chant those prayers. Suddenly there was a big hit on his back, like this. He said, who is that? Who is hitting me? Actually, Prabhupada was patting him. He didn't know who it was. So because he was bowing and offering prayers. So then he offered his prayers and he could hear some voice feebly, but he could not make sense out of that voice or that message. Prabhupada told something actually to him, but he was so exhausted, tired and even upset. So he didn't give attention to what Prabhupada was saying. And he didn't know who it was, who was patting him. Then he got up, and by the time he got up, Prabhupada went to another room. Then there was one devotee by name Nanda Kumara. So he asked Nanda Kumar, so somebody was hitting me. He said, no, Prabhupada was patting you. He said, I heard something, I could not hear, audibly. So what was it? Prabhupada was saying. He said, you are taking all the trouble in this world for me and Krishna. When I will take you back home, back to Godhead, you will not have any more trouble. It will simply be joyful. You will not have any more trouble. So when I take you back home. So that Prabhupada assured him. So that devotee, when he got to know that it was Prabhupada who personally patted him and assured him, in this world you're taking all the trouble to serve me and Krishna. But after all of that, when I take you back to Krishna, there'll be no more trouble. All the trouble will end for you. So like that. So this is the promise Prabhupada is actually making. So similarly we can see somehow in this life we should continue to serve Krishna and particularly Prabhupada. With every sweat, every breath, as much we can give to Prabhupada. Maybe there's a lot of trouble in this world in serving Prabhupada and Krishna, but all the trouble is worth. Because Prabhupada is assuring, you're taking all the trouble in this world, all of you. So, but when I take you back home, back to Godhead, you will not have any more trouble. The assurance of Srila Prabhupada. And that assurance remains for good in this world. So we'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki. Srila Prabhupada Vyaspuja Mahamahotsav ki. Tai Gaur Premanand.